I'm 72 years old. That still sounds strange when I say it, like I'm talking about someone else. But it's true. My hands remind me every morning, and the mirror doesn't let me forget. Last spring, after 40 years of marriage, I finally told my husband the truth I had been hiding almost our entire life together. Not in a dramatic way, not during a fight, just one quiet afternoon when the house felt too honest to keep lying inside it. We were sitting in the living room, the windows open, the sound of a neighbor mowing their lawn drifting in. Ordinary sounds, the kind you don't notice until you realize how many of them you've lived through. I remember thinking, this might be my last chance to be known for who I actually am, not just who I learned to be. At this age, time doesn't feel endless anymore. It feels counted. When I was younger, I believed adulthood would bring clarity, that one day I'd wake up and understand myself fully, the way older women seemed to when I was a girl. Calm, certain, settled. What no one tells you is that many of us don't become settled. We become practiced. I met my husband when I was 31. By then, I was already good at being agreeable, good at listening, good at making myself easy to love. I had grown up learning that love was something you earned by not being difficult, by not asking for too much, by being grateful for what you were given. He was safe. That was the word I used in my head over and over. Safe sounded mature, responsible, wise. He wanted a family life, a partner, someone steady. I fit that shape well. What I didn't tell him was that there was a part of me I had never explored, never even spoken out loud, not because I didn't feel it, but because I didn't trust it. I thought if I ignored it long enough, it would quiet down. That's what women were taught to do with inconvenient feelings when I was young. So I married him. And for a long time, I told myself I was happy, not lying exactly, just editing. We built a life that looked full from the outside. Shared holidays, shared friends, shared routines. People told us we were solid, but inside there was a small, constant ache I couldn't explain. Like wearing a shoe that never quite fits, but deciding it's not bad enough to take off. There were moments, small ones, that should have told me something. When friends talked about desire and I nodded without really understanding. When intimacy felt more like duty than connection. When I felt lonely sitting right next to the man who loved me, I blamed myself. I assumed something was wrong with me, so I compensated. I became reliable. I became supportive. I became the woman who remembered birthdays and organized holidays and kept everything running smoothly. Productivity became my proof of worth. In my 40s and 50s, life got busy enough that I didn't have to look too closely at myself. Work, aging parents, responsibilities. There was always something more urgent than asking hard questions. My husband trusted me completely. That trust is what still sits heaviest in my chest. He never suspected there was a truth I hadn't shared, and I never gave him a reason to. As we grew older, our marriage grew quieter. Not unhappy, just thin. By our 60s, we moved through the house like two people who knew each other's patterns by heart, but no longer asked why they were there. Then he had a health scare. Nothing sudden enough to end everything, but enough to change the way time felt. Hospitals do that. They take away the illusion that you'll deal with things later. One night, sitting alone in the waiting room, I realized something that startled me with its clarity. If he died, he would never know me, not fully. And if I died, I would leave behind a life that looked complete but wasn't honest. That realization didn't make me brave right away. It made me quiet. For months, I carried it around, feeling its weight in ordinary moments, while folding laundry, while washing dishes, while lying awake next to him, listening to his breathing. I thought about the girl I had been before I learned how to disappear inside expectations. I wondered what she would think of the woman I had become. The truth I had hidden wasn't about betrayal. I never cheated. I never left. It was about identity, about a part of myself I had buried so deeply that even I stopped asking for it. I had chosen a life that made sense, not a life that felt true. The day I told him, my voice didn't shake much. That surprised me. I think I had already lived with the truth for so long that saying it out loud felt like setting something down I'd been carrying for decades. I told him I needed to talk. He turned toward me, patient, familiar. I started by telling him how grateful I was for the life we built, and I meant it. Then I told him there was something I should have said a long time ago, something I was afraid to name because I didn't know what it would cost. I told him that I had loved him, but not in the way he deserved, that I had mistaken comfort for wholeness, that I had been living beside myself, hoping time would fix what honesty required. I told him I was sorry for letting him believe I was fully present when part of me was always held back. He went very still. When you hurt someone who has trusted you for decades, there's no language that makes it gentle. He asked if I had ever planned to tell him. I said no, and that was the most painful truth of all. I told him I waited because I thought there would always be more time to figure myself out, more time to explain later. Later is a dangerous word. It feels generous until it runs out. He cried. I cried, not loudly, just the kind of crying that comes from grief, not shock. That conversation didn't fix anything. It changed everything. Some days after, we spoke carefully, like strangers learning a new language. Other days, we barely spoke at all. We're still married. Life doesn't always give you clear endings. What can't be repaired is the past version of us. The years he lived believing he was fully chosen. The years I lived believing I could postpone myself without consequence. Regret, I've learned, isn't always about bad decisions. Sometimes it's about reasonable ones made too early and held on to too long. Now, at 72, I live with a quieter kind of honesty. Not freeing, just real. I don't know what the rest of my life looks like. I only know that pretending costs more than it used to. If you're listening to this and you recognize yourself somewhere in it, I won't tell you what to do. I waited most of my life. I don't pretend to be wise. I'll just say this. Time doesn't announce itself when it's almost gone. It leaves quietly, and one day you realize the truth you were saving for later is the one thing you should have lived with all along. These days, when I sit in the same room as my husband, the silence is heavier, but it's honest. At my age, that's all I have left to offer. Acceptance doesn't feel like peace. It feels like finally telling the truth and letting it sit where it belongs. If this meant something to you, I hope you don't assume you'll always have more time. Some truths don't grow easier with age. They just grow heavier, and carrying them to the end is lonelier than you think.